Today is New Year's Day 2024, and we're out here today. We're out on the Hungry Valley Indian Reservation, just outside the city of Reno, the reservation where I grew up. And we are out here today to start a fire. And the reason we're starting the fire is for a memorial. So 23 years ago today, my little brother, Russell Vernon Melendez, he died on this day. And so in our communities, when people die, we either remember them, pray with them, honor them, or we just forget about them. And that's kind of the sad part. And so because of the holiday attached to it, it makes it nearly impossible for us to forget about him, because here we are. So, and to give you a little bit of a point of reference, so if you look right over there, you can kind of see there's like a little street light over here, and there's some little trees and a little park just right over there. So not even, 150, 200 yards that way. So where he died. So I suppose in our communities, when we're talking about death and loss and pain and things that people are going through, for my mother or for my family here, these types of things are happening in our community systems, are happening in our homes. And it's not like other communities or people with resources where you could just run away. So when tragedy happens and you live in impoverished communities, you don't just get to pack your shit up and leave and run away because you don't like the memory or you don't like the way it feels. So for us, it's just a part of our existence. And so when you're coming up the hill to the reservation, you'll see crosses and stuff on the side of the road. And those are also my older brother Thomas, who was killed on the road, or my other relatives that have died. These are things that you see every day in their memories you can't get around. So today we're going to have a ceremony in remembrance of my brother, of his life, and for the family. And also in the process of remembering why we're doing these things, to take care of ourselves so we can, be the way we want to be for the coming year. For understanding, when we started doing these things as young people, our community didn't like any of the stuff we were doing. And to be fair, a lot of the people in our community still don't like any of the stuff we're doing. They didn't like how we prayed. They didn't like how we dressed. They didn't like how we talked. They didn't like anything about what we did. And when we were young kids growing up in the city, being tribal people, we were also talking about, the way in which we understood the world growing up in the 80s and the 90s. And there was a lot of other things going on in our communities that our people didn't really like. A lot of drugs and alcohol and violence and a lot of gang shit, and people were dying. So, when we had to do all this stuff as our community, our people here, we were all young people. Shit, it was just a bunch of young people. Kids.
We were kids.
The first sweat lodge we had over there was on the other side of the fence. The first one we built in our community over here. And we were young. Some of the people that were there, young kids, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think I might have been the oldest at that time. I was like 21.
Never been in sweat.
Never done any of that stuff, but
didn't know nothing about
we didn't know nothing about anything. All we knew was we wanted it. We wanted our culture.
It was more than wanting. We needed it.
Yeah. We needed our culture. and nobody was going to help us to get it, so we had to go do it.
Did it ourselves.
We did it ourselves because nobody was going to help us. And we were a bunch of young kids, and our community looked at us and said, "You guys are young punks. You don't know anything. You're gang members. You're drug dealers. You're criminals. You're not good enough. You're never going to be good enough. You ain't shit. Who are you to think you can do anything? You ain't anything. You're never going to be anything." And that's the way our community talked to us, and that's how our people treated us. We had some people, aunties, relatives, some people that helped us. Our Uncle Elliot Aguilar, he's gone now. He was a big support for us at that time. He let us build our first lodge in his backyard.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Big E. And super helpful, super helpful in our journey because, we didn't have resources. Whatever little things we had. We didn't have much, but we just put it together the best we could. And so after 20 plus years of being little kids and stacking rocks and cutting wood and starting fires and praying, eventually over time we figured some things out. We didn't figure it all out, but we got a pretty good handle on some of it. And that's kind of the best you can do, right?
We realized you had to go hard, right? And that was what we were good at, so it was kind of natural.
Yeah.
Our emotions in this way of life was really natural because we were already going hard.
Yeah.
It's the only way to explain it.
That is. And because we were already doing things and we already had, because we grew up in that time where people had to do the work. Nobody had given you anything. Nobody gave us things. So
Had to kick up dust.
you had to kick up your own dust.
Yep.
Just like when we grew up in our neighborhoods, in the city and everything else, whoever you were going to be, if you were going to be gangbanging or you were going to be macking or stacking or rapping or slinging dope or whatever it was you were going to be, that was things you had to do and you had to put in the work. And so when we came into this way of life and this is what we wanted to do, we knew that we had to do whatever we were going to do and put in the work. So we understood that. We got that part down, right? Which was, even today, it's like people may want whatever they want and our communities may want what they want, and that's beautiful. Let them have whatever they want if they're willing to do the work. And so over the years, we just learned how to take better care of ourselves and our families by doing the work. This part of like the ceremony, this part of the preparation before people even get here is probably the part that it's the part that I know for me as an individual that I need the most of, and I've needed that for the last like 2 decades because it's quiet. There's time to think. There's time to start a fire. There's time to be outside. There's time to like reflect on what it is that our life, our weeks, our months, our days have been like. So that's what a lot of this is. Taking care of the people, praying for them, helping them, and making room for people to not be okay. That's something in our culture that I think is really beautiful about the way our people have lived and the way our people still understand their, whatever their culture is grieving, loss, feeling that pain and finding ways to work through it is something. And now, granted, my brother's been gone 23 years, and I still feel it. I still hurt, and I celebrate him. I think about him, and but it's still very much a real part of my struggle because, attached with the loss and the missing. It'd be one thing if I said that I love my brother and I missed him because we were so close. But I would say that the honest truth is that I love and miss my brother so much because I wasn't always a good brother to him. And so because I wasn't always a good brother, I live and deal with so much guilt and shame and, hardship because of that loss. And so, I always think about the fact that I've become a better brother after my brother died than probably when he was alive. And that's something that, it hurts me, but it's not untrue. And so when I think about my brother on this day, I just try to hold it together and think about my mom or my other families that are coming and the people that are coming in our communities that really need love and care and support, and the people that really need something. And that's what I think about. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to start a fire.